Good afternoon and welcome to May's edition of VRM Insider. I'm going to apologize off the bat. I don't have my camera on today because it was acting a little wonky and I looked like a ghost. It was not cute at all. So I'm going cameraless today, but nonetheless, I hope you can imagine my smiling face to be with you guys today. It is really close to Memorial Day weekend, which I know is a huge turning point and shift in the season for most of our VRM clients. So first of all, I just want to say to all of you VRM clients that we're here for you. We know you're getting ready to enter into the busiest season as far as your guests checking in and running the summer gauntlet, and we are just here for you all the way. And if there's anything that we can do on behalf of VRM to make that season easier, please don't hesitate to let us know. As promised, this month we have with us our friends from Safely. For those of you who have attended any of our events in most recent history, like our VRM University that we did in Orlando 2 years ago, Safely was in attendance there, and you may have gotten an opportunity to meet some of the Safely crowd. I know Louis was there, and I believe Carrie was there also. And so it's really great to have them back on VRM Insider to talk about their amazing products that they have to offer. We do have multiple VRM clients who are using the product and very happy with it. So just a little housekeeping before we get started today. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, I do ask that you use the Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. And once you have a question asked, if it's appropriate, I will be happy to stop the presentation and go ahead and slide that question in there so Carrie can answer that. If not, we'll hold those questions till the very, very end of the presentation. This is being recorded. That way we can send this back out as a recap. And you guys can watch it at your own convenience and share it with the folks in your office who it may be applicable to. You may even want to be sharing this presentation with, or even some of the information out with some of your owners. And I know the guys are going to cover that here in a minute as well. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today. Again, my name is Tracy Sanderson. I don't think I said that. I guess I just assume everybody knows who I am at this point. I'm the Director of Marketing here at VRM. And our guests today are Carrie Marisa, who is the Head of Business Development over at Safely. And we also have with us Louis King, who is co-founder and COO. Louis says he's going to kind of be in the background helping to monitor some of those questions today for us while Carrie does our presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Carrie and let them talk to us a little bit about Safely.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. Louis, did you want to say anything, though?
No, just welcome today. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. I know we're leading into probably what's going to be one of the biggest weekends in a very long time, in over a year. So we do appreciate your spending some time with us today.
All right, thanks. As Tracy said, I'm Carrie Marisa from Safely. We're going to talk about using guest screening and insurance products to really recruit new homeowners and protect your bookings. When we talk about, just as a quick introduction to Safely, we are a tech-enabled insurance company based in Atlanta. But we have clients all across the country. We're approaching almost every state at this point, and if we have any international clients, you'll see that later this year we'll be rolling out those programs as well. Today we're going to talk about what's different. You guys are all hearing it from various webinars in the industry from a home acquisition perspective. We're going to focus on what some other high growth property managers, large and small, have done to grow their businesses. What you can do as a property manager to do the same. And we'll talk a little bit at the end, of course, about Safely and how Safely might be able to help that journey. For those of you that are already, you joined today and are gonna stick it out with us, we do have a little fun giveaway at the end where you'll be able to provide information to me, and I'll send you a cool Yeti tumbler with a care package, and we're going to be raffling off an Amazon gift card. Two of them, actually. So, as everybody knows, we've just went through extraordinary times, but that presents extraordinary opportunities. The industry's different. It's growing drastically. Demand has increased. We know there's a homeowner shuffle. People have been buying second homes. Others are selling theirs. So there's a shuffle, and what they're going to do with those properties, who's going to manage them. And overall, net, there are more homeowners entering the market. A lot of those are just self-managed homeowners, and they're looking for professional PMs like you. And there's been a shift. Everybody experienced how, with the growth of Airbnb and maybe losing some of that touch with the PMs. There's been a big push to direct bookings. So, what do you do to protect yourself there as well? Statistically speaking, over the last year over year, it's been a phenomenal year in most markets. This could be a little bit dated, but we know that California and the West Coast have rebounded as well. And overall, if you're at a driving distance, bookings have been tremendous, and can't keep up with the demand. People are choosing these options for all the obvious reasons. No one wanted to go to a hotel. You didn't want to interact with strangers. More options, more diversity, more unique places. People loved going to these second homes, these vacation homes, and condos that are serviced by professional property managers like you. So there's just been a tremendous amount of demand increase in this space, as you're all experiencing. One of the challenges, though, competition is fierce. This was a slide from our friends at Vintory. This is just one market, and probably only captured a fraction of the PMs in that Tennessee market. But you can see how competitive it is, and you have large companies, small companies, gigantic companies, all competing for those homeowners. So, it leads to, well, what can we do to attract those homeowners, win that business, differentiate ourselves? And we also know that, that one home acquired or prevented from churning is a tremendous value to your business. This is statistical averages, but nationally speaking, this is pretty consistent. In normal volume scenario, normal volume markets, that home's worth the revenue of somewhere in that 30,000, 35,000 range to you. Obviously, commission structures vary, but on average, that's $7,000. There's a margin to that. So we know that acquiring that home, retaining that home, it has a huge impact in 1 year, and definitely over the course of a 10-year expected life cycle for those homes. So we know how important that is. So what can you do to grow your business? There's really only a handful of traditional options. You turn those shared homes into exclusives. You got to win from your competition down the street. How do you convince them that you're better than they are? How do you convince that homeowner that your business is better than their business and taking care of them? These first-time homeowners that I mentioned, how do you convince them to choose you? And one of the things PMs have been doing is, upgrading their business. So maybe you only wanted to have 50 properties and keep it at a certain scale, but how do you upgrade the level of those properties so they're earning higher revenue and higher margins for you? That's another way. And you can jump into large scale growth where you can take over entire buildings and win over the homeowners association of that buildings and outperform your competition, and in some cases acquire businesses. So our PMs are doing all these things to grow their business. We're going to talk a little bit about a handful of PMs that we're familiar with. And they all experience growth in a different way, from those ways I just described. We had people start very small. They left bigger companies, said, I think I can do it on my own and do it better. And they differentiate themselves and quickly grow from 5 to 30 properties. You have experienced PMs that, decide that they're going to take that next leap and grow from 100 to 140 homes. That's still 40% growth. That's very significant. Some just want to grow casually, organically over time, and add that selective 1, 2 properties, every month or so, and just continue to build up their business. Some are very large and want to grow by taking over whole new complexes and taking over the majority of the management of buildings and taking over hundreds of units at a time. Um, and we've had experience with some other clients that had a successful business, grew it significantly, took an exit package at the right time for them, missed it so much as all of you would, decided to get back in the business with just a handful of homes and want to do it all over again. So everybody's kind of in a different life cycle with their experience, but there are opportunities and pitfalls that you can all deal with in helping you accomplish your objectives and your growth objectives. Well,
But Carrie, I'm just going to stop you there, but would you say that the common denominator is that, like I think there was 5 that you had on that screen, 5 or 6 different companies represented, 2 of which were VRM clients. If you guys noticed the VRM logo under them. But it seems like the common denominator is growth. That using the Safely, and of course we don't know the other denominators that were included, but it does seem like the bottom line is growth, whether they were at the beginning stages as a new company, as a startup, or kind of in a middle, or like you said, in a larger capacity with lots of homes, or even looking to sell and be acquired by another company. Where those life cycles, it does seem like growth was the common denominator.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're focused on here. We talk about, that growth can come because you've expanded your business, you want more rentals and your direct bookings, like we talked about at the beginning, but these companies all wanted to grow. I mean, I interact with 10 property managers a day at least, and there's very seldom that they don't want to grow their business in one of those fashions, even if they just want to grow their revenue by acquiring, better homes. They all kind of want to grow. And so we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls, but then talk about what these PMs did in particular to accomplish that growth. So what are some of the pitfalls, or what are some of the opportunities? And then, where did people miss some of those opportunities? But, right now in recruiting homes, there is really a sweet spot. There are a lot of new entrants, 1 and 2 homes. Maybe they manage themselves, say, oh, I like this lifestyle. I want to go try it myself. It's tough when you have 1 home, it's yourself. You don't have any of the scale. You don't have any of the infrastructure in place. You don't have the track record. Then on the flip side, you have some of these behemoth national property managers that have been buying up companies. One of the things that we hear frequently is that they lose the personal touch that many of you provide to your homeowners, to your guests. And so homeowners are looking for an alternative from them as well. And most of you kind of sit in the middle of that and have that opportunity to take advantage of it. So where have some of them failed because they can't answer these 2 key questions to the satisfaction of their homeowners. So who's staying in my house, and what happens when something does go wrong? We like to think that, and we hear the feedback from our clients that, the homeowners, even though they ask 50 questions, it boils down to about 4. Are you going to make me revenue and income? Are you going to take care of my place and keep it clean? And then they ask these 2 key questions: who's staying in my house, and what happens when something does go wrong? And most PMs that fail to grow can't answer this question to the satisfaction of these homeowners. And even, some that manage it other ways, they know they hear these questions quite frequently. Traditionally speaking, it's kind of a magic ball, as you see on the screen, of, well, who is staying there? What do I know about them? Can I look at things on the internet and search about them? You can find out some stuff. Honestly, it's really not even actionable that way, because you can open yourself up to some adverse selection, discrimination, and you really don't get a true picture of the risk of that reservation and rental. So you're really not protecting that homeowner that well. And the problem is, your homeowners assume the worst. This is what they hear about when they hear that one story out of Airbnb, or the 10 stories out of Airbnb. This is what they think happened. The whole place is going to need to be fumigated. The dog chewed up the whole thing, the scary party. And we'll just assume that one ended well. We hear about the parties that don't end well. Something gets stolen. What happens if someone gets injured in my place? They fall down the steps, they fall in the pool. They assume the worst. So how do you alleviate their fears? And other PMs have not alleviated their fears. And the other problem is, when something does go wrong, it adds up in a hurry. It's not just, oh, the baby knocked over the wine on the couch. It's, they left the kids alone for the evening to go out to dinner, and they threw a little party, and then 8 things were broken. So, are you prepared when this happens? What would you do when this happens? And I think PMs jeopardize their reputation when they upset that one homeowner. Frankly, it's like the law of 100. They don't even realize that they upset 100 homeowners and lose those opportunities. Frankly, the OTA coverage is very inconsistent, if at all. Airbnb, it tends to be a marketing policy. They choose when to pay. It's very confrontational with the guest. When the guest doesn't cooperate, you're going to be wasting your time and spending 3 months on your $300 lamp. And I think, as many of you probably experienced, they really do favor the guest over their PMs and homeowners. And that was the experience during the pandemic. HomeAway doesn't really, or VRBO doesn't really even have protection for damage caused to the units. They have a secondary policy for bodily injury. So they're coming after you and your homeowners first. They'll cover damage to the neighboring property, but they won't cover damage to the rental property. They do have some optional commodity damage waivers, but I think if you dig into them, in many cases, they won't be sufficient. You'll see that they're accident only. It's a guest policy. And as soon as the guest doesn't cooperate, those policies typically become null and void, and you're just left back as if you didn't have anything, and fighting with the guest, fighting with your homeowners, and dealing with that friction. And then when we get into direct bookings, you don't even have either of those options, even though those were sufficient. Now, what are you going to do when you have your direct bookings? What's your solution for protecting them? So, as you expand your business through direct bookings, to avoid the OTAs, or change your revenue mix, you need a solution as well. So we talked about those traditional approaches. This is a little bit of what are my options 101. Damage deposits, they suppress bookings. They are administrative hassle and nightmare for the PM. Now, with some of the payment processors, you end up having to pay a fee anyway if you're refunding that. They can suppress bookings, like I said, because people don't want to put out $2,000 on their stay. And then credit cards, they're fraught with chargebacks. As soon as you go over a modest amount, then they're going to be charging it back anyway. Some people like to self-insure, and there are some revenue benefits of that. I think you'll see some alternatives, or how you can get the best of both worlds and really do right by your homeowner with a more robust solution. At the same time, keep that, when you look at the full picture of your revenue growth from acquiring homes and having revenue from those transactions, you'll see how that still benefits you. And then I mentioned those commodity waivers. They tend to, again, they're accident only. The guest is heavily involved, usually at a lower amount where it's insufficient when that real damage happens. Anything else yet, Tracy or Louis?
Yep.
Additionally, this is a dilemma. How do you protect your revenue? There are travel insurance solutions out there, and there are a lot of different providers. Some are, traditional programs that cover, someone's got sick, someone passed away, weather incidents, to very specialized products that, if you're in a market where sun or snow are critical, you can have very, very specialized solutions that cover you. But we definitely recommend investigating these options and at least having it optional to your guest. And these do always usually have to be something the guest chooses to buy. But at the same time, by at least offering it, then you're more comfortable keeping those down payments and saying, look, you had the option to, to protect your stay, and, kind of makes you feel better about your solution, about how and when you refund deposits. So back to Tracy's questions and some of those PMs we mentioned before. So what did these PMs do, and what did they do differently to achieve those results that we mentioned? Well, first off, they were able to better answer those two key questions. I think most PMs have a plan to answer, yeah, I'm going to get you reservations and revenue. Most PMs, some are more true than others, but most PMs can answer that question. Most PMs have solved some version of the cleaning, some better than others as well. But they could answer who's staying in my house and what happens when something goes wrong. They really, in effect, turned these internet strangers into trusted guests. We know that these internet strangers cause anxiety for the homeowners. They cause anxiety for your business. They cause anxiety for the local communities. It seems like, every other week you hear about some community that's having a vote on the short-term rentals, and there's a lot of champions in our industry, thank goodness, out there fighting those fights. But if each PM can take action to alleviate those concerns, I think the industry overall will be better off. But so how did they do that? Well, they screened their guests. They made sure it wasn't a fake ID. They collected the name, address, date of birth, and made sure that was valid, and it wasn't just a fake ID or someone giving somebody else's name. And then they checked watch lists, sex offender lists, felony lists. They really, screen out those worst guests. There are additional options. There are other solutions in the market where are more robust, more science-driven internet searches to explore whether guests, whether that's a risky reservation or not. So there's robust full checks, and there's additional analytics-based programs to screen your guests. On top of screening their guests, they really did have a robust damage and bodily injury solution that gave those homeowners peace of mind, that when they talk about it, they're not dealing with that damage deposit. Oh, it's $500 a damage deposit. No, they had solutions with $10,000, $100,000, $1 million of protection, both for damage and bodily injury. So they gave very robust damage protection solutions. And frankly, you got to find a solution that doesn't just cover those accident only, but will cover even when it's not an accident, believe it or not. So if you can cover when it's not, because your homeowners really don't care whether it was an accident or not. They're just going to come yelling at you. What are you going to do about it? Can you get it fixed? How do you get it fixed? So these PMs, provided a robust solution for guest caused damage, injury, theft that was better than people that self-insured down the street. And they point that out to their homeowners, and when they're having those acquisition meetings. Frankly, all of that led to removing the friction between those homeowners and guests and your staff. Wouldn't it be nice to delight your staff and make them happy? so they don't have to fight with guests. They don't have to fight with the OTAs. They don't have to fight with their homeowners. How do you remove that friction? They were able to remove that friction with some of these services and really kind of make everybody a little happier in the process. And they protected their revenue. They did offer travel insurance. It gives them more options in protecting their revenue, protecting their bookings, and still keeping those customers happy and hopefully recapturing those bookings later. The programs that they used, and again, we'll talk a little bit more details in a few minutes, but they provided true benefits to their guests, to their homeowners. They covered accidents and non-accidents. They covered theft and bodily injury. They aren't fighting, like I said, just kind of recapping this. They're not fighting with the OTAs. They're not having chargeback with credit cards. They're not dealing with administrative headaches and deposits. And at the end of the day, they're going to acquire new homes and keep their existing ones happy. So they're not going down the street to somebody else over 2 reservations. In effect, they wow their customers. They provide, an acquisition package that describes in detail what they're going to do, how they're going to earn the money, how they're going to answer all those 4 questions, particularly how they're going to screen their guests and how they're going to protect them and keep the worst guests out.
And so this is branded content that Safely provides to the property manager to use as prospect materials for new homeowners.
It is, exactly. Yeah, we will brand these things, and I've been, intentionally trying to not focus on Safely as much here, but we will dive in a little more deeply on what Safely does here for a few minutes. But yeah, we love creating these, and we'll talk about the claims, but overall, we kind of flip the industry on its head, and we have a philosophy like, I'd rather have you out adding 2 new homes and maximizing your bookings than worrying about your $300 lamp getting paid. So, we're going to pay your claims, as you'll see in a minute, but that's the model we took. We want you growing your business. We want you happy and successful. And then we kind of all win in the end. But yeah, we love passing out these brochures.
Yeah, that just makes it so easy. I mean, you're putting the tools right in the property manager's hands. I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, I mean, it will make it explaining how you answer those questions. And say, who's sleeping in your beds tonight? What's going to happen when something goes wrong? And you can describe it to them and give them that peace of mind that you're the best PM for them. So, all right, I have to talk about Safely a little bit. So, of course, we provide some of those services that we discussed. We do have a very robust screening process. We check that identity, that name, address, date of birth is valid on government IDs. We check watch lists, sex offenders, an exhaustive list of felony criminal checks going back 7 to 10 years, trying to keep those worst guests out. We also share information on our worst guests, that we've experienced. So if somebody caused very inappropriate damage in one of our clients' properties, you're not going to want them staying in your place. So we screen that as well. And we've created, coming soon, a Safely score that says, well, this is the hardcore background check, but we have data analytics and algorithms that say, here's the 15% of reservations that cause 70% of the problems. So we'll score those reservations and say, this reservation is still risky. They may not be a felon, but you better keep an eye on this person. Say hi, maybe not do keyless entry. Let them know somebody's around, keeping an eye on them to the best extent possible. So we provide these services with screening. And then our insurance products, I feel confident that they're the best in this industry. We have everything from those, I'll call them damage deposit replacements, damage insurance for $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, or even $10,000, all the way up to $1 million of protection, where it's structural damage and bodily injury, and still $10,000 of contents protection. These are all primary policies, so we're going first. Unlike that secondary VRBO policy I mentioned, we're going first. We're protecting your business, we're protecting your homeowners, and we're helping you protect those guests from themselves, frankly. How do we do that? Well, we created a very unique structure that's where all three people identified in that reservation are additionally insured. So that we don't just protect the guest, and it's not just that guest accident only. We actually protect all three people. The guest is protected, the homeowner's protected, and the PM's protected. So if the property manager gets sued, then we protect you as well. You know, it sounds crazy, and I never use the horror story technique in describing it, but it does matter. You know, we've had a client probably 4 years, and they weren't a very big client, and a few months into our relationship, they were sued by a guest. Excuse me. Somebody went through a railing, broke their back. Yeah, it was late at night. They were drunk, but that doesn't matter. And the lawyers can point out anything. And they said the PM didn't use the right size brackets and screws to fix the railing. So the PM got sued. So having something that's protecting your own general liability policies as an added benefit is just, you know, I think a beautiful thing. But we do protect all three, and we cover those accidents and non-accidents. Just a couple other quick things, you know, because of that structure, like I said, it doesn't matter. They could bring a pet, throw a party, throw the couch in the pool, all those scary things I showed before. We're still going to cover that guest caused damage because your homeowner doesn't care. They just expect it to get fixed. So we will cover that. And we've made your life easy with the claims. Our claims is a one-page form, takes about 5 minutes, amount, description, photos, and invoice, and you're done. And again, as I mentioned, we'd rather have you growing your business using these tools to add homes, add reservations. So we decided that claims under $1,000, we were going to get those processed in one business day. So we actually make it fast, easy, and simple to process the claims. So our PMs, like we talked about, those ones growing, they're able to focus. So they got the wind at their backs, and they're able to focus on the core parts of their business and not worrying about, you know, various things of damage. And this is just our promise to you. We're going to protect your homes. We're going to reduce the number of bad stays. You won't have claims drama. I think the VRM clients that we tagged before would tell you, and all our other clients, you know, that they love working with us. You know, we have great staff, great team, and are very passionate about our part of this industry and what we can help do in building and growing it. And they'll treat you that way, large and small. So kind of summarizing that, you know, yes, you answer that question. How do you protect your bookings? How do you answer those questions of who's staying in my house and what happens when something goes wrong? You know, use safely, use our insurance products and screening to win those homes. We're going to keep out those criminals and creepos. We have the most robust solutions. We cover the accidents and non-accidents, as I've said several times. We have travel protection to help protect your revenue. And really, you know, it gives you those tools to show your homeowners that you'll protect their most valuable asset better than the PM down the street. And like we said, you know, wow your homeowners, give them that peace of mind, but give them real protection. Don't fake them out. All right. Well, we got to the point we have questions. And like we said before, we have a couple other fun things for you guys.
Okay, so I have, we only have a few live participants with us today. I I'm wondering if everybody has just scooted out even earlier than Friday for a early Memorial Day vacation. So those of you that are with us live today, I have given you permission that you can actually talk. So you don't actually have to type in your questions. So if you have a question, you are more than welcome to just unmute yourself and talk away.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey. I was wondering with Safely, I know a little bit about the product, but is it possible to just have the damage side of it versus the optional travel insurance side of it?
Oh, absolutely. They're two separate policies. They're completely separate. What actually how our damage products work because of that unique structure, Elizabeth, you can decide which policy and which properties go on which policy, and you are allowed to just require this service on every stay, and it's just built into the solution. You pass the cost on to the guest, but that travel product always has to be an optional offering anyway, and you can pick your best provider there. We're happy to show you our solution, but you absolutely can keep it separate.
Okay, thank you.
Kara, I'm going to ask, so I'm just going to have a couple of questions that are some comment on other webinars that we do. And so I'm just going to ask one of them. So Gary, it seems like it's a pretty broad policy. What are the exclusions?
So as Louis said, it is a very broad policy, and everybody always asks, well, can you show me what's covered? We do it the opposite. We try to show you what's not covered, and there's very few things, there, and we make them very obvious. But it's the wear and tear. You're professional property managers. We want to have a long-term relationship with you. You know the difference between the comforter was damaged from bloodstains or makeup party versus it's been used 75 times and worn out. So wear and tear is an exclusion. The things that aren't voided for their regular homeowners, like weather, acts of God, those are still in place. They aren't voided. You don't need your commercial policy, even though someone else might have been staying in there that week. And then there's a handful of just, I would call them exceptional items that aren't covered by your regular homeowners anyway. Stock, gold, stamps, rare coins, things that I don't think most PMs are letting their homeowners sit around their places. But we give you a very detailed list of those handful of exceptions.
And how does the setup work within VRM?
Yeah, it's great. We know how busy you are as PMs, and we strive to make this as simple as possible. And to boil it down, there's only a couple of activities that happen. There's an activation within VRM of that includes like an API token, so we can pull your information in. You'll set your fees that you want to charge, including your markups. So it fits with your accounting. So you'll set your fees. We give you a couple sentences, mainly if you're using the background screening, that would go into your terms and conditions. And usually, it's only a couple sentences. It can be as overt or covert as you want. And you set that language, you set your fees, you give us that activation code, and you're set up. The rest of the stuff is the fun marketing things that to get you those brochures and everything else. So, mostly it's a little bit of a lapse time and an hour or two of work, maybe two and a half to meet with us, double check some of the things, but it's very simple. It's not like, trying to list all your homes on a new OTA or something challenging.
So when somebody says, yes, I want one of the Safely products, generally, how long before they're up and running and their properties are covered?
So great question. There's a two-part answer to that. I could have them named insured the next day. So we can say anything coming in by tomorrow, you can be covered. It's just how fast they want to, they can set up those fees. So they're covering themselves for it and collecting money to pay for it. So, really it could be as fast as a day. There's some other, setup activities that will happen over the course of, 3 or 4 days, but it's really, again, a couple hours, and after you sign the agreement, you can be in effect the next day. And then we also did it where we know you have existing bookings, and so we give you the complete option. You can do just new reservations from that day forward, or we can insure all your existing reservations if you've collected for it or have a way that you're comfortable paying for those. So we have a lot of flexibility and can have you protected within a day.
Okay, should we do the maybe the gift card giveaway now?
Yeah.
Or do we wanna, then we can stick around for some other questions. Like I said, I've got a few others.
And
that we can
before
do,
I,
and
sorry,
some-
Lou, can I
Yeah.
hit this one real fast? So I
Sure.
would love to, I know we have a broader audience, and Tracy, maybe you can let the people that signed up that didn't make it, this offer will still stand. If they want to email me and set up a conversation, I'll send them a really cool Safely gift package with an awesome Yeti tumbler and gift card. And so please make sure that anybody on the phone, if you want to shoot me an email. For those on the phone, just for showing up today, if you want to shoot me your email, if you don't want to meet with me, I'll still thank you and send you a package. Everybody got that? So Carrie@safely.com.
Yeah, and
And I'd
what
put
we'll
it-
do, what we'll do is and it's I picked the time and the place, so if that's on me if everybody is kind of just too busy at this point in time today, and so we will make sure that not only we get the replay out to everybody, including all the offices, even the ones represented here who are live, but we'll also get out some special emails to those who did register and weren't able to attend, so that they can get up with you guys. I definitely believe Safely is worth a one-on-one conversation to talk about your specific pain points, maybe talk about some of those specific points that you've had pushback from new prospects, as far as homeowner prospects, and even some, walk through with Carrie some of your nightmares or headaches or hair pulling experiences, so they could say, okay, if you would have had, our product, this is how that situation would have gone. And they can actually walk you through a real life example instead of just, a vague example. So I really encourage you guys to reach out to Carrie and have that one-on-one conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tracy. And just, I hit on it. Maybe I rushed through parts of that, but we do have some fantastic VRM clients. They would be happy to tell you about Safely. It's one thing to hear it from me. It's another thing to hear it from your peers. So, if that's something you'd like, I'm happy to arrange that as well. If there's a different market, you want to hear somebody from your market, I can arrange that. But hearing it from some of your VRM clients, VRM peers, be excited to do that for you as well.
Okay, so Carrie, if you can stop sharing your
Yeah.
screen, then I can share mine. So we have a really fun. Okay, so wheel of names. So we have our 4 participants on, and we're going to
Love it. This is awesome.
So
I'm
as
like
you know, so
Debbie, Elizabeth, Hope, and Amber. You guys are like,
you're rock stars.
I just love it.
So yes, we do this completely random. Sometimes raffles are fixed. We do not fix our raffles. Yes.
Yay.
All right, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
So Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind dropping your email address into the chat, well, I'll send you the Amazon gift card. It's $100 Amazon gift card.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
We
still
have,
send me your email as well.
yeah,
Already done.
The other package. All
yeah.
right.
And we have another one, so we take up. So pretty good chances here for everyone.
I love it.
Now I feel bad about the two people that don't win. Oh, that was like Wheel of Fortune.
I know, it's like right there on the line.
Yeah.
Yay, hope! Woo!
Awesome. Well,
Excellent. Well,
congratulate. We're sorry, Debbie and Amber. I'm sure we'll figure out some other nice thing to do for you when we chat. Any other questions we can answer for you today?
okay.
I have a question. Are you guys going to be at the Verma International Convention in San Antonio in October?
Absolutely. We're going to have a full force there. We'll have lots of people, not just our business development people like me, but we'll have our claims specialists, finance people. You'll get to meet a big part of the crew, and hopefully you're already clients by then, but we love meeting with our existing clients and new clients at those events.
Yeah, so the first time I met Louis was at one of those events. We sat, I think we had breakfast together or lunch. I can't remember. I think it was lunch. And he just randomly sat down at our table and we kicked off a conversation, and the relationship's been going strong ever since. And for those of you live and those listening to the replay, just want to say that one of the things that I love about and Safely, and I totally am not just saying that this, is that I know that they care. And I know they care is because I can get on a call with Louis and Louis will just check in on me. Like he will literally just send an email or call just to check and see, like, how are things going? How are you doing? I mean, no agenda, no, no baloney, just literally just saying, like, how are things going in your world? And those are the kind of people that we want our clients doing business with, people who genuinely care about you, who care about your business and want to see you thriving. And so I can safely say that the Safely team is that group of people. And they're just people that you'd love to have in your corner. So again, definitely so worth the conversation. Even if you decide that for some reason, some weird reason, that Safely is not a product for you, these are amazing people just to become friends with and have on your team. So I hope that everyone will take advantage of that today, tomorrow, the next day. Again, we just so thank you for your time that you spent with us today. Any last minute comments, Carrie or Louis?
No, just thank you very much, Tracy, and we really appreciate it. And as Tracy mentioned, yeah, we're always happy to chat. Even if you just have general questions, we're happy to chat with you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hope I don't see your email address in the chat. If you can drop that in, even if you just send it directly to Louis, since you did win one of the prizes, I want to make sure that you get that. I see that Beth sent hers, so we're good there. And if for some reason you don't get it in before we wrap up, I'm going to try to talk a little bit longer to give her a few minutes to get her email over. You can send that directly to Carrie or to me, either one. I'm sure that we'll make sure you get what's coming to you, your grand prize. Like I said, Verma International is October. We're really excited about in-person events happening. Hopefully that's a time of year that everybody can get out and stretch their legs a bit and get face-to-face. I know that I'm really excited about it. We just wish everyone a very happy Memorial Day, a safe and happy Memorial Day, an amazing kickoff to this summer 2021 season. Just man, wishing you the best year yet. And I know I can say that from everyone at VRM and Safely as well. So everybody, stay safe, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.